Howdy, howdy. What's happening, all you bad mofos out there in the Black Army radio realm? Welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome to the movement. We're glad you locked in today. Before we get into it, real quick, if the show's ever made you laugh, think, or feel some kind of way, do us a solid. Please hit that 5-star rating, if possible, and give us a follow. And that show that you thought was pretty decent, send that sucker out to a friend. It'd be great if you shared some of these episodes. We've had some pretty interesting conversations with some folks and some pretty cool investigations. And so send it to a friend if at all possible. And today, it's freaking June 17th. And we're like a couple days past a supposed peace deal now between the United States and Iran. Though if Israel has anything to say about it.
Right.
Right. How you doing, Joel? What's happening today, buddy?
I'm good. Did you hear, speaking of, right before that peace deal, like 15 minutes before, someone put the biggest bet on one of those things for like $1.2 billion that there'd be a peace deal signed that day? It's fucking
dude,
crazy.
The insider trading that's been taking place, man, since this war started, pales, like makes everything else pale in comparison, dude.
Yeah. That was on the betting thing, like the poly market where they do the bets, but same difference. Yeah. Insider information.
It's insider information, dude. 100%. You know,
just and like nobody's risking $1.2 billion unless they fucking know. That's a lot of fucking money. It's the biggest bet on poly market ever placed.
Dude, is it really? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. I need to do more research on it. I didn't read it myself. I saw a video of that, so I could be wrong, but I would like to.
Even if it's not, out. Even if it's not, it's probably top 3. Right. Right? I mean, that is a substantial amount of cheese, bro. That is, you know, on my bets, I feel like I play fantasy football, man, and I can't get past like a $50 buy-in.
Right.
A fantasy football league. And that's not on like a score or a cover, you know, covering a game, like, you know, the spread, whatever. It's 100% like I'll bet $50 on a season-long outcome. You know what I mean? That's about as betting as I get, dude. These days, it's crazy, man. It's been a wild week, dude. Been a wild week. Sorry about. So we took a week off. Kind of took a week hiatus. We had sickness infect my house big time. I spent all last week just sucking pretty bad, man. It's been an interesting deal. One of my boys freaking broke his thumb playing catcher. He stepped up from 11-year-olds to 13-year-olds. Got asked to play in the major, you know, a couple years ahead of him, and he plays catcher. He's a hell of a catcher. And this kid steals third to home, right? And freaking my kid gets the ball and have a massive collision. Like my boy he's 11. He's not very big. He looks like an 11-year-old.
Right.
The kid that hit him looks like he's a freaking junior in high school at 13. Ran his ass right over. He held onto the ball and got the out, but broke his damn left thumb. Broke his left thumb. Yep. And so it wasn't as bad as we thought it was. We had to take him to the emergency, like pull him from the game. He tried to stay in there. It swelled up really quick. And then we had to pull him and take him to emergency, and he got a little crack in there. But he's in a soft cast. He'll only be out a few weeks. But the same kid, dude, he broke his left pinky at the last day of school, missed the first week and a half, gets to play a week, and now it breaks his thumb, dude, on the same hand. And I was like, if this kid didn't have bad luck, he wouldn't have any luck at all, especially as hard as he's been trying to, you know, move up in a division, you know, for his age group. And it's just heartbreaking, dude. Just breaks my heart. But hopefully he's only out for a few weeks. You know, luckily the news today was a hell of a lot better. And so that's freaking good. But
that's good.
Yeah. But it's been wild. So we're back in effect. And so here we are. And to say that, so today we're going to discuss a few different things. We're not doing a big investigative deal on like a particular topic, kind of like we have been. Or we don't have a guest either. We're going to talk about this deal. We're going to talk about the Epstein timeline. Joel's got some information on that. That's pretty darn interesting that we're going to dive into and kind of riff on. And the deal with this Iran deal, bro, that just kind of came down the pipe. And I mean, dude, remember how for years, I guess it's did Trump rip up the JCPOA? He ripped it up on his first term, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then he started sanctioning them, you know.
Yeah, big time. And man, you remember how much shit he gave Obama for giving I guess he gave the Iranians, they flew in that money. They had to fly it in to Iran.
Right,
And there's all these memes and videos there was for years of us giving Iran of Obama
right.
cowing, right, to Iran and giving them and it wasn't even our money. It wasn't taxpayer money. It was money that was unfrozen that had been in there. For those of you guys that don't know, when they do a lot of these, when they tariff people and stuff, like a lot of money that these states have isn't even in banks that are in their country. You know what I mean? So what ended up happening,
Right.
like if you're tariffing a state like Iran or China or Russia, you're seizing their assets from foreign banks. And so Iran had hundreds of billions of dollars in assets in foreign banks, just like kind of everybody does.
So
And
here
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
here's the exact numbers. It returned 1.7 billion in cash, 400 million originally placed in the US trust in 1979 for undelivered military equipment plus a 1.3 billion in negotiable interest. The settle is a decade-old legal arbitration case. So,
But it wasn't taxpayer money.
no.
Mm-mm. That's what a lot. That was kind
And
of the
the,
big misconception out there. It was actually
and
their
then
own
he
frozen funds.
And then he unfroze 50 billion in assets. That was
Mhm.
their own assets. So that's what you're talking about. And then
Yeah,
the money what was paid out was 1.7 billion and that was from military equipment and interest and stuff like from that, I
and
guess.
that's what
So,
everybody saw. Like
right.
that's what was on Fox News and CNN, right? The C-17 flying into Iran, dropping off a pallet of money, and then all the Republicans and conservatives out there, including Trump. Trump a lot.
Right.
I mean, like a lot, a lot. I mean, there's countless tweets of him out there bad mouthing Obama for giving him this money. Well, we're gonna go over a few things here because this kind of tells you, first of all, this is not unconditional surrender, which was what we talked about, right? When this war was only supposed to be 2 weeks long, was that the only thing that we would accept from Iran is unconditional surrender. I mean, this is looking more and more. The more information we get from this, man, I mean, the more it kind of seems like Iran made out. They're even able to keep their nuclear dust. Trump's even gone as far as saying, "Did you see that? He
Yep.
flew off to shit, whatever that meeting he's having in Europe right now." And
G7.
yeah, yeah, and he's just basically talking about how the uranium's not even doesn't even mean anything. He's like, it doesn't even matter really. It, he's like, that stuff doesn't even really matter. And I was like, what the fuck are we? What? Dude, you can't make it up, bro. You can't. So we had 13 Americans die. 13 Americans die because Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And Operation Midnight Hammer that we were promised delivered that. Didn't deliver it, apparently, right? We killed 13 Americans, spend way over $100 billion, use a shit ton of our interceptors and our tomahawks to the point where our own stockpile is so depleted right now that if we got attacked by somebody, we'd be in a lot of trouble. I mean, a lot of trouble. And for nothing, because the
Ugh.
nuclear uranium, apparently, from what Trump just said in his little speech, doesn't really matter. That doesn't really mean anything,
And,
Joel. That's not a big deal. We don't have to worry about that.
and all our fucking bases got bombed. So there's if
They
these
didn't just get
countries
bombed.
decide
They got
like
like
yeah,
a
get
couple of them got totally
destroyed.
destroyed.
Well,
Yeah.
there's billions of dollars in bases. If the countries decide to let us rebuild there, all the infrastructure to all these corporations like Amazon, they had a couple like data centers out there. I mean, there's a lot of shit for nothing. And then
Hmm.
and now is and the thing what's funny about this is like how all the stuff always coincide with like another like Epstein release or something. Like there's a weird timeline of something with the Epstein happening and then something with the war happening. And
Oh yeah.
and it kind of ebb and flows and it also might be because Trump's just a complete idiot and has his feet in too many fucking shit piles and he's just
Dude,
flinging shit everywhere but
dude, there's a big
yeah,
fight.
it's
The right now it's like it's amazing, dude, because now you got the Mark Levins and Laura Loomers and like Tim Cotton. God, that guy. Dude, Mike Huckabee. Mike Huckabee gave a speech in Israel like yesterday where he said that the United States wouldn't even exist without Israel. The United States of America would not exist as a state without the state of Israel. Fucking said that shit. Got a big applause, but he did it in Israel, of course. Now all these guys, you could see it coming, right? Yeah, I was kind of like, this is the thing with Trump, dude. I was like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, like right now. Like
Yeah. You dug
half the
yourself a hole, man.
Republicans, yep, the younger generation of Republicans is like, get the fuck out of Iran, reinvest in the American people. That's what the younger generations of Republicans are saying. The older generation of conservatives, Republicans, the boomers primarily, are like, no, we want boots on the ground, full scale invasion, destroy the entire regime, nuke it, do whatever the hell you got to do. Whatever Israel says, just fucking do it. Join our militaries, join our that passed, by the way. Remember
No,
that whole
I
deal?
know. Yeah.
Yeah. So now we're sharing military intelligence and military weapon systems and tactical training and all that kind of stuff. And we're married up to the state of Israel now. And Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey, I guess, are putting together some kind of package to where they're trying to put some kind of vote on that to pull it out of the bill. And that'll be interesting to see what happens because
Right.
people are going to have to put their name on it, right? And as far as I'm concerned, a no vote's the same thing as a yes, or not a no vote, but
Yeah.
like a what do they call it? Not present.
Yeah.
It's the same
Fucking
thing as a
vote.
yes vote. That you're just going to keep it in there. If you don't have the balls to say no, then you're just saying yes. You know what I mean? And so that'll be interesting to see where that goes. But that was kind of a, I mean, that dude, that scares the hell out of me, bro.
Well, and
Scares the hell out.
we'll see how long it takes for Israel not to bomb Lebanon. That's
They
gonna
already
be.
did.
Yeah, I know. That's the whole. It's the
They
same.
bombed Beirut, and Beirut isn't even a Hezbollah stronghold. A lot of people don't realize that. Like Beirut is not a Hezbollah like thing. There's not very much Hezbollah presence in Beirut, if at all. And as soon as Trump announced the deal on his birthday, right, and that all came out, and then Pakistan, remember the guys from Pakistan, the representatives, they come
Yeah.
out with a statement saying, hey, they're going to sign this deal. The Iranians come out with like kind of what they say is in the deal, and that they're going to sign it. And then Trump's like, yeah, we're signing it. And then Netanyahu and Ben Gvir and all these guys in Israel are like, we're not part of this ceasefire. We're not giving back any ground in Lebanon. And then they bomb fucking Beirut.
Yeah.
Beirut, which is not southern Lebanon, which is where they've been targeting primarily now. And so this I don't know, dude, this is we're in a weird spot here right now. Like a real weird spot when it comes to Israel. And because we're still sharing our technology and our intelligence now and military prowess with them, combining it. And I don't know, I have a hard time getting a read on how this is going to work out, in the long term when it comes to Iran in this war. Is Israel just going to go with I'm like, hey man, as far as I'm concerned, dude, it's like, hey, you want a war with Iran? Fucking have at it, dude. Go. Do your
I
thing. I
I
don't give a shit.
I think the
As long as it's
only
not our money and weapon systems and troops getting killed over there for them.
I think this might. I don't know. It's if we just say like fuck Israel and Iran stays on a leash, Israel's not going to be able to grow unless they're bombing people.
Yep.
And if Israel's bombing people, Iran's going to probably be the ones to bomb back because they're the
Mhm.
biggest military there. I think Trump might be trying to save face before midterms, even though that's like a lost cause, or he's just letting it calm down until something happens again and then stirs it up right before midterms so he could create like a bigger problem when midterms happen so we don't have midterms, because at this point, like I can't see how. I mean, I've seen a couple, like you said, in the Laura Loomer, like I've seen a couple people, but most of the people are glad, like like they call it an accomplishment.
Mhm.
And then this is when you're gonna go into a little bit more. I think we spent a bunch of money. We got all our bases bombed. We lost 13 American lives, another countless injured,
Mhm.
and then like nothing good came out of
Yeah, what
this.
do we get out of this?
I
And
I,
not we
I
don't even have
ran
the nuclear dust. We're not even getting the
Yeah.
uranium. which was
Well,
the
a
whole
and
point of the whole fucking thing to
Iran
begin
got
with.
empowered and realized that they could hold the Strait of
Yep.
Hormuz for that long. They never done anything like that. And then all of
Nope.
a sudden they realized like, "Oh, with our infrastructure, we could still do this," you know?
Dude, Iran
And
could have been sending bombs into Israel this entire time, and they've been holding
huh.
back for fucking decades. That's
Well,
what
and they
we
held
remember we
and
talked
they
about, like, what happens if Iran gets a nuclear weapon? They're gonna blow everybody off the face of it's like, dude, they had the conventional means to destroy Israel this entire time, come to find out. And they've been really, really restrictive on how they've been using it. It's been very
and
strategic.
even during this war, the only places that they were bombing, like, inside Israel that were in city centers were, like, information data center stuff.
Yep.
They weren't like, we were probably more, and I could be wrong, but I wouldn't be surprised if Israel and us are more guilty of hitting civilian targets, especially if you include Lebanon. 100%
Mhm.
Israel has hit more civilian targets during this whole escapade than Iran has,
Oh, 100%.
you know?
Iran has been they could have if they could have hit city centers and malls, hospitals, apartments. They could hit all that stuff if they wanted to, and they haven't. They've hit nuclear sites, weapons, development sites, American military bases, and, like, weapons technology sites, like we just said that, but that's what they've been focusing on. They haven't focused on civilian targets at all compared to us and in Israel. We've hit the civilian infrastructure that we've hit has far exceeded even what's acceptable in the Geneva Convention. You know, if you think about the
Well,
girls' school that was killed in the first day, I mean, we hit like we did the numbers on this. I don't know how many episodes ago, but it was like 200 schools, hospitals, like another 150 plus hospitals,
well,
universities, all kinds of
and
stuff.
it sounds like that first day of targeting was all AI based targets.
Palantir.
And there's some things coming in about how that girls school, like, in a protocol, if we weren't using AI based targets, or we were at least saying like AI puts these targets out there and then we review every target and say like green light, green light, green light, green light.
Mhm.
There was none of that. And that's where, like, if this was done in the old system, there's a good possibility that that school would have been like, hey, wait a minute, we're going to pull this target, girls school, and that's the whole, when you have AI pulling the trigger and a bunch of trigger happy fucking people, like, it's a scary thought.
Trump said another thing at that G7 that was interesting. Do you hear what he said about how you don't need to bomb an entire apartment building to kill one terrorist? Do you hear him
Yeah,
say that?
I did. I
There's a
did.
weird thing going on right now, and it's like there's been, because Israel wants us to go into all out war, invade, right? That's what they
Yeah,
want. They want an Iraq style invasion into Iran, and anything less than that is unacceptable, just outright unacceptable. Trump, like, he's been trying to play this weird game, man, where he's like standing on a ledge, and it's like it's a drop off on both sides
Yeah, because they
because
got a
he's
bunch of
pushed this
fucking
for so
blackmail
long.
on them.
Hmm. And it's like I don't know where this is going to lead, dude. But it's just interesting to hear him say stuff now where he's like, "You don't need to bomb an entire apartment building to kill one terrorist and kill a whole bunch of civilians." It's like they weren't saying that stuff. That's not something that Pete Hegseth, right, would ever
Yeah.
freaking say,
No.
or like Mark Levin,
There
or any of
well,
those guys would ever say. And it's. But I mean, like, yeah, he's right. I agree with him on that. Yeah, you
yeah.
don't bomb
Well,
in an apartment complex with hundreds of fucking people living in it and kids and elderly people and women to kill somebody who may or may not be there, like a one
there
individual.
was well, and this goes back to, like, the Venezuela thing and how we handled that, how we were just bombing boats that we saw. There's really good evidence that one of those boats we bombed that had 11 people, that they were being human trafficked.
Yep,
They were victims of human trafficking,
yep,
and we fucking bond them.
yep.
And that's not being talked about either. People stood on this human trafficking thing, and now we're just fucking dropping bombs on. Yeah, yeah. And that's not. And Hegseth would never say that. Just like you said, he talked about the Venezuela things, and like
Hmm.
how they handled that whole situation, and not getting Maduro. I'm talking about bombing the boats and all that. And it's fucking
Hmm.
bizarre. It's crazy.
Dude, weird timeline, dude. So let's get into the Obama deal, the JP. the JCPOA, as it's called, and what it actually did, the money and kind of stuff. We're gonna do a little comparative here because we've listened to conservatives, and listen, I've been a lifelong Republican my whole life. Talk about this, Obama's deal and all the free money that Iran got, all the taxpayer money Iran got, and how terrible it was, and blah 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 blah. Dude, if thi- if what we think is real with this deal right now, it makes the Obama deal look like fucking cheesecake, baby. You know what I mean? Just great compared to what this shit's gonna be, especially when it comes to the money. And so in 2015, the JCPOA lifted nuclear-related sanctions and let Iran reaccess its own frozen overseas assets, like we said. So that was in 2015. It was not a check cut by the U.S. Treasury. It was not a U.S. taxpayer dollar situation. This was its own money. Okay, basically, so you'll hear the $150 billion figure. This figure is kind of the high end. All right, it's disputed. It's a disputed ceiling. It's a ceiling on what the money that they got in total between what was delivered and unfrozen was around $150 billion, I guess. The rough total of all Iranian assets that were scattered overseas, like I said, to all these different banks. A lot of states, like we said, they have their money internationally. And so when you get these tariffs on Russia, Iran, China, these different states, Cuba, like we're doing to Cuba right now, starving their kids and not letting any, have them have electricity or medical care or stuff like that, just like we did to Iraq in the 90s when we killed almost 100, like a million Iraqi, primarily children, through starvation and lack of medical care through tariffs. And so these assets, these accounts, these bank accounts are foreign bank accounts, and when they get tariffed, they get frozen, they get locked, and so they can't access this money. I think in the 90s, Saddam Hussein and their I want to say they got down to around $15 billion total in their entire economy after tariffs. They were just hammered. It was really hard for them to
That's
like
crazy.
maintain the state. And obviously that's why so many damn kids died, was because they
Right.
didn't have anything. And of course, that's how it always works, right? I mean, the kings are not going to go without food. The kings and
Yeah.
queens. You know what I mean? The oligarchs are not going to go without food in the United States or medical care. It's going to be us, you and me. Just like in Iraq, it was the kids. Just like in Cuba right now, it's the fucking kids. All right. Same thing with Iran and that kind of stuff. But anyway, all right. So the reality, all right. The tiered reality of this $150 billion, this is the top end of what the frozen assets were. This is what Trump always refers to. Okay. When Trump was tweeting during his elections campaigns, he was usually using the number like 100. Obama gave Iran $150 billion. That's what he would say a lot of the time. That's the number he uses. That's also a disputed number. Most major outlets, U.S. officials, they cite $100 billion, not $150 billion. So they cut 50 billion off that. That seems to be the number that was the real number with that of unfrozen assets. All right. $50 billion is what Treasury Secretary Jacob Law testified Iran could actually use, since about half of it was tied up in debts. Okay. And so out of that $100 billion, I really think the number is 100 billion, not 150 billion, because I'm just not going to take Trump at his word for that. There's a lot more actual investigations and outlets and institutions that say it was 100 billion. But out of that 100 billion, $50 billion would have been debt, different kinds of stuff. So they really had access to like $50 billion pretty much out of that 100 billion. All right, 29 billion were the actual amount that was moved like in the first 6 months, and then what Joel talked about. What do you say, 1.9 billion?
Yeah.
What it was
Yeah. One
delivered, but
point.
it was like actually 400 million, and the rest was interest, from my
Yeah.
understanding. Yeah,
Yeah.
because just like the rest of us that have bank accounts and money in banks, you accrue interest. You know what I mean? The more money
And
you
that
have, the
was
longer you keep it in there.
And that was stemming from 1979. That was stemming from the first conflict, you know?
Mhm.
That's something that's been on the books for a real long time. That's frozen money that we weren't using or they weren't using, and Obama gave them back and that and part of the deal, you know?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so the whole pallets of cash thing that we were talking about, that you saw on all the news channels and everything else, the U.S. paid Iran. I have 1.7. It's 1.7 to like 1.9 or whatever, right around in 2016. Like we said, it was $400 million in principal plus 1.3 ish to 1.5 billion in interest that had accrued over on that money over that time. Apparently, it settled a dispute. So, a pre 1979 arms deal where Iran, under the Shah at that time before it was overthrown, paid into the U.S. Foreign Military Sales Trust Fund for weapons that were never delivered after the revolution. So, they gave the United States a bunch of money for military sales through a trust fund, apparently, and the weapons were never delivered. Do you know what I'm saying? And so part of that money was money that was given back to them because they never actually received their end of the deal from the payout. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Some of this stuff is kind of hard to understand because it's not as easy to find as you think it would be. The 400 million that was flown in as physical cash, that's really the pallets of cash. It was 400 million dollars. And that stemmed from that 1979 arms deal apparently. Okay. And so that's what we pretty much know about Obama's deal, right? Which was the JCPOA that everybody shits on all the time, especially conservatives. Can't wait to shit on that deal. Gave up, fuck Iran, killed all of our people, giving them money. Okay. Trump's 2026 deal and the 300 plus billion dollars that could possibly be getting paid out to Iran. All right. So Iran's Revolutionary Guard says the deal requires the U.S. and its allies to present reconstruction costs of $300 billion to reconstruct their state based on it getting bombed. All the destroyed bridges, schools, universities, hospitals, all the shit we were talking about that we blew up, ton of infrastructure, $300 billion to basically redo that. Now, JD Vance came out and said something about how the UAE, I guess, would kind of front a lot of that money. I'm not really sure. A lot of that terms haven't come out in that. I don't know, but it's at least $300 billion. That's how really it seems.
Well,
Now,
and
yeah, go ahead.
I find that hard to believe because the UAE took it in a shorts during all of
Big
this, you
time.
know?
Mhm.
And I
I don't know why they
mean,
would agree to it.
I I think because there was a lot of deals that make money in the future that were done there, and it's the only way that maybe it could go down because there's a lot of money tied up between old fucking Trump's son-in-law, Kushner, the deals he had in the UAE. There's a lot of money tied up in there that was supposed to be like long profiting deals. So I'm wondering if
Yeah,
there's some of that built in with that.
dude, for sure. If they're doing it in Ukraine, there's already like American companies that are contracted to rebuild parts of Ukraine after we sent all the money and weapon
Right.
systems to fight Russia and have all that stuff destroyed. I don't think it's going to be any different here, dude. I like
Yeah.
why the fuck wouldn't Jared Kushner and these guys have a ton of dealings in the entire Middle East. I mean,
Yeah.
the entire Trump family and the attachments to the Trump family. What do they do? Real estate, construction. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? A lot of it. Real estate, construction, like fucking casinos, whatever, golf courses.
Yep.
That's what it is. And so it's like, so we spend well over $100 billion just bombing Iran. They're going to get $300 billion at least to reconstruct it. There's going to be contracts in that reconstruction for various companies and corporations. You know what I mean? And if it's going to be the UAE that's going to come in there and do it or pay to have it done, like why wouldn't I don't believe in a million years that somehow the Trump family or their attachments aren't going to be involved in receiving these payouts
Yeah.
of this $300 billion for reconstruction. It's
Well,
double
if
dipping
you
for sure.
yeah, if you looked at anything they've done, it's been double dipping, you know?
Mhm.
Like that's the whole like it's this big circle of money and it's the same elements who are helping move this money, whether it's the UAE, those Middle Eastern ties that Trump has through Kushner, and because Kushner's tied super deep into Israel and that whole region,
Oh, yeah. Big
you know,
time. Mhm. Yeah, big time.
and yeah, well, and it's kind of funny too, like because seeing how other countries react compared to how we react to this whole circus of the Trumps is like Algeria, the island that the Kushner and Ivanka bought, and Algeria fucking went. They protested. They
Mhm.
fucking were like, no, we're not letting like burning down like the Capitol protest,
Oh, yeah, it was
or
big
not the
time.
not the Capitol. It was a dude's house who runs a country, and
Mhm.
it was a big deal, because they don't want any of that fucking money there either,
Oh, yeah, they don't
and
want any
then
of
you
that
look.
corruption and shit there. Yeah, for sure, because 'cause you're just injecting it everywhere, you know what I mean? And it destroys everything that it's like a parasite.
Yeah,
It destroys the host all the fucking time. Like, you see that all the time with these oligarchs, all the time. They go in there like, yeah, of course, like, the citizenry isn't gonna be okay with it, you know? And then you rise up, and then you get crushed. You get fucking killed,
right,
you get murdered, you get kidnapped, you get tortured, you get imprisoned. You know, that's those are the outcomes of pushing back against the oligarch class, especially if you live in a society that doesn't have rights. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I don't know what Algeria's rights situation is, but I guarantee those people that were out there protesting. I'll tell you what, it's really easy to protest in the United States of America. Real easy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're covered by a lot of laws, things like that. There's a lot of states out there, including Iran, that where if you protest, you're taking your life in your hands for sure. It's a
right,
completely different decision, right? Like, the family, the mother and daughter that goes out to the gay pride parade, right, in Steamboat, Colorado, doesn't take a chance of getting shot or imprisoned
right,
or kidnapped. If you go to a gay pride parade in Afghanistan or Iran or maybe Algeria or some of these other places, you take a very, very real chance. I mean, shit, this is happening in England, right?
right.
It's happening in England. Motherfuckers are getting arrested for social
Nah,
media posts and for protest
there's
against
it
stuff.
just it's just happened in America. There was like, I forget where it was, but it was like, I think it was 4 people got arrested. It was a state. It was all in the same place for posts on social media against ICE. So it's
Mhm.
slowly
Florida's
trickling
trying to do it
down.
with Israel. Florida was trying to do it where you couldn't post anything of Israel. They were calling it anti-Semitic, and that whole, like, the difference between a state and a religion thing falls on deaf ears a lot. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, Israel's a state. It's not a religion. It's not a religion. It's a state. That's what it is.
Well,
We can talk shit
and
about
even
every
if
other state in the entire world, and if we can't talk about Israel without going to jail or these other states that are going to start enacting laws, speech laws.
well, and that's the thing with the first, and this is not me saying I agree with this, but if someone says, "Fuck the Jews, they should all hang. Fuck the Christians, they should all hang. Fuck the Buddhists, they should all hang." The First Amendment protects that. And we
Mhm.
have a vessel with Facebook where you could post some really nasty shit. And outside of threatening someone's life and saying, I'm going to go hang a person,
Mhm.
like, you're
Direct
pretty much
threats.
protect yeah, you're pretty much protected, and people, and it's gross, and there's a lot of gross shit that's said out there, but I should be able to say, "Fuck America" if I want to.
Dude,
I don't
free
have to
speech
agree
is
with it,
yeah.
and that's the whole, and I don't wanna say "fuck America." I'm super
Mhm.
stoked about this 4th of July. Like, there's a lot of things where, just like you said, we got a lot of problems here, but I'm still on board with
Dude,
America,
that's why
you
we're
know?
doing this, dude, because we love this goddamn country. I love the rights associated with this country, the foundational principles of this country. Like, the conservatives are not constitutionalists these days. Republicans, I'm sorry. Hey,
Right,
if you're Republicans out there and you agree with all this shit going on, you're not a constitutionalist. You're fucking not.
right,
If you're a standard Democrat out there and you agree with a lot of the stuff that's taking place, especially with Israel, like, you are not a constitutionalist. You're fucking not. You're not. You
right,
do not believe in the foundational principles of this country at all. At all. You fucking don't. You know what I mean? We're here talking about, like, why this stuff is important. The freedom of speech is important precisely because it's so hard. That's what
right,
makes it so important. It is hard. And it's more important that you protect the speech of people you don't agree with than the people you do agree with, because eventually the people that you don't agree with are going to be in power and they're going to try to stop your fucking speech. And you're going to
right,
hope that some people on their side are going to protect you a little bit for your speech, just like you did for them. It's like that's how this is supposed to work. That's how a free society runs, you
right.
know? And it's we're seeing a lot less and less of that, and that shit's really scary. And so okay, I'll go back into this here a little bit. So
Sorry.
no, we're good. This is we're dude. That's what this whole thing is about. We'll do a bullet point. We'll talk about it. People will agree, disagree. Who gives a fuck? So there's also, on top of the $300 billion in reconstruction costs, there's another $25 billion of frozen assets. Okay. That's exactly what we talked about during the Obama thing with the JCPOA. It was all frozen assets. And Trump would say it was $150 billion of frozen assets. The real number looks like it's $100 billion in frozen assets. And then a $400 million pallet cash delivery from an arms sale deal that went wrong from 1979. Okay, that's really what it is.
And these are all frozen assets that were acquired from Trump's original sanctions too. These are things that happened from that moment forward, when Trump cut the deal, Obama's deal.
Exactly, dude. And so, like, it's really easy to look at these numbers now. I mean, you don't have to be a goddamn genius. You don't have to be a mathematician to fucking understand what these are. And so, Obama's relief, okay, Iran's own frozen assets, $50 billion usable, $100 billion accessible. The $150 billion that Trump kept saying is disputed. So it's really $100 billion, all right, of frozen assets. That was Obama's deal. $150 billion frozen assets released back to Iran from all their international.
That was from 1979 to 2016, essentially, in that period of time.
Exactly. Now, what's Trump's deal? Reconstruction investment of at least, and Iran is asking for more than 300 billion. They're saying up to $1 trillion, bro. They're saying 300 billion to $1 trillion. They're still negotiating this stuff, but they're saying that they're not willing to take less than 300 billion. 300 billion is the low water mark, but they're saying that it's going to be upwards to $1 trillion. Now, this could be a weird thing because if Israel keeps hitting Beirut and Lebanon, and Iran decides that they want to hit Israel again, Iran might just tell the United States, hey, that $300 billion number, guess what it is now? 500 billion. Get your fucking dog on a leash, because now it's 500 billion, or we're going back to war, or I'm closing the Strait of Hormuz. Because within this deal, guess what? The Strait of Hormuz stays in Iranian hands, in Iranian control, also in this deal. And so Trump still, at least, bottom line, 300 billion in reconstruction directly to Iran. 300 billion in reconstruction directly to Iran, and that's not from frozen assets. That's just a straight, here you go. Whether it's from the UAE or American taxpayers or whatever it is, it's not Iran's assets. It's not. Unlike Obama's deal, which was 100% Iran's assets. And then on top of that, $25 billion in unfrozen assets and oil sanctions relief on top of that. And that is huge. That means that Iran will start bankrolling more money off of their oil. So we could even take Trump's number, which isn't a real number, for what Obama gave them. And that number is $150 billion of Iran's own money that was in their bank accounts overseas at different banks, right? That's not the real number. The real number is probably $100 billion. But let's just say we'll just give Trump the $150 billion. Just like I said that we would give Israel the 3,000 years. Remember when we talked about how long they've been around? The Google history. Right. We'll just give it to you. Fine. $150 billion. Let's just say Obama gave them $150 billion of their own goddamn money. Trump's number at the very, very minimum right now is $325 billion, plus lifting all the oil sanctions, plus not getting the nuclear dust, uranium, plus giving Iran control over the Strait of Hormuz.
It sounds like we got beat in a fist fight. Is what it sounds like. Well, and this is while you were reading all that stuff, I just wanted to get like what is the estimated numbers of the total cost of this war to us, not including the deal you just talked about, right? Mm-hmm. And this is a quick AI search. It's citing 13 different sources. The Pentagon's official tally for direct operational cost of the war in Iran states to be $29 billion. Though independent economic assessments argue the total macroeconomic fallout ranges between 630 billion and 1 trillion. That exact dollar value of lost military infrastructure has not been finalized by the Pentagon, as officials are still calculating the scope of damages over to the overseas bases. So
It's
it's
yeah,
estimated to cost us, let's say on the shortest end, 50 million or 50 or 500 billion dollars this war cost us.
yeah, yeah, dude.
And
It
that's like optimistic. That's a optimist, not including all the shit that we're paying that's going to be paid out to Iran. Like fuck.
is a kick in the dick, man. This is a huge kick in the dick, and we've been talking about it for months, Joel. You and I have been talking about it since the very beginning of this, when people were like, "What do you mean they're hitting Israel? What do you mean they're hitting our bases in Bahrain and Dubai? That's not happening. I don't see that on CNN or Fox News. What do you mean they're doing all this other stuff? What do you mean they have these capabilities and they're holding off the United States Navy and they're pushing them so far away that they can't launch anything without having to refuel every single thing that they launch in midair because they have to stay so far away from Iran. Dude, this was a giant kick in the dick.
Yeah.
This is a
Physical.
giant kick right square in the dick, man. I mean, because this had to have surprised everybody, not just like everybody, because primarily with Iran's capabilities. Iran has been, and what my conclusion with this is, Iran has been holding back a lot
Yeah.
with all this stuff. They keep getting bitch slapped, bitch slapped again, bitch slapped again, and it's like they could launch a full out assault on Israel anytime they want. The UAE on any time that they wanted. They could have launched a full out war on Israel, like all that stuff, and they've never done it. They've the proxies with Hezbollah, and Hamas, and all that stuff. But we also did the comparative numbers between how many people the United States and Israel has killed in the Middle East in the last 20 years versus Iran, and it's
Right.
not even. It's in the millions with America and Israel, millions and millions. Iran, the top number you can get, even if you take the number that you believe that they somehow killed 40,000 of their own citizens in a week, which, dude, Israel was carpet bombing Gaza for years and they killed
Yeah.
70,000 people. And you're going to tell me they didn't carpet bomb their own people? Like,
Yeah.
they didn't kill 40,000 people in a week. They probably killed around five, maybe 10 tops. 10 is a lot. Five's a lot. That's a hell of a lot of
Yeah.
people, man, that you got to deal
None of
with. And
it's
that's not like
good,
that's good.
but
I'm just saying people exaggerate shit. And it's like, just tell the fucking truth about it. That's just as bad. Just be honest about it. But, dude, this was just a huge kick in the dick in the United States. Big kick in the dick. I mean, we lost so much out of this, man. Our stockpiles of munition systems, financial stuff. I mean, we're giving Iran 300 plus $billion, and only 25 billion of it is their own assets. We're giving them 300 billion from outside sources at least. It could
right.
be way more than that. And if I was Iran, I'd be like, hey, Israel hits Lebanon one more time, it's going up by $50 billion every single fucking missile that hits Lebanon. Every
Right.
single time an Iranian missile hits inside of Lebanon, our reconstruction cost goes up by $50 billion. That's what I would be telling the United States if I was Iran right now, because clearly they're in the pole position. Clearly, based on this deal, there's no other way. There is no other way that you can look at it.
Well, and this goes I mean, I think a lot of this goes back to, if you watch some of like there was one of the, I don't know if it was a rabbi, but it was Trump, and he's talking about Trump saying like how he's a Jew now. And this is nothing against Jewish people, but like Trump claims he's a Christian who doesn't know a verse from the Bible. Like he was quoted at this big Christian convention to give his favorite verse from the Bible, and he kind of, well, there's so many of them, and
There's so many I love. I
and
just can't even remember one.
yeah, and that's the, and not to say it's, I think it's more about money, and I think it's more about the Epstein shit. I think
Yep.
I think they have some dirt on him. I think both of those people are pushed into a corner. Netanyahu realizes if anyone else controls a government, he's probably going to get arrested.
Yep.
Trump realized worst case scenario, if anyone else controls a government outside of Republicans, he's probably going to get impeached.
Yeah.
You
Or
know?
arrested
Yeah, well,
at this
worst
point
case
now.
or best case scenario,
Mhm.
impeached. if not arrested, you know?
Yeah, I think the
And,
Democrats are coming hard after the Republicans after the midterms, man. I think there's gonna be a
yeah,
lot of congressional hearings, and there's gonna be a lot of people that could be looking at possible jail time, no shit,
yeah,
with a lot of the stuff that's been going on. Which actually, I think is the perfect time to start talking about now that you brought up Epstein, the Epstein stuff. That's
yeah,
pretty much all
so
I had with the comparisons between the 2. Yeah, 150,000,000,000 if you say Trump, 100,000,000,000 based on every single other institution, to 325 plus billion at very least with the new Trump deal.
yeah,
Congratulations.
good job.
Congratulations, Trump administration. Way to go.
Well, and if anything, we should just learn to quit meddling in these fucking countries, because even if it's like Obama's paying back something that occurred from 1979 forward, Trump was paying back something that occurred from 2016 probably until now with some of the assets and stuff like that, you know? And it's
Yep,
like we're not gaining anything from this besides a couple contractors, and whether it's military or construction contractors who are coming up and wreaking the havocs of this war, you know?
yep,
And one of them's doing it running security, and the other one's doing it rebuilding the fucking places that we bombed. And there's
mhm,
I bet the people at the heads of those companies are making fucking bank and they don't mind,
yep,
you know? It's that
absolutely.
military industrial complex and the capitalism what surrounds it, man. It's
I
brutal.
did a I did a post on Facebook the other day where I was like, "You wanna see what the military industrial complex looks in real time? You spend well over $100,000,000,000 bombing a country and then giving them another $300,000,000,000 to reconstruct it through people that you have as contractors to reconstruct it, like Jared Kushner."
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exact
that really benefits the American people. Hope the
yeah,
American people are getting a lot of fucking good returns off that investment.
yeah. Well, and we're gonna go into the Epstein shit, and this goes from the beginning of once like, when Trump was first asked about Epstein to the cover up that's taken place in his cabinet in this year. And Trump, when he was first asked about Epstein, he was kind of like, "Oh, I guess he's kind of a neighbor back in like where he lived in Florida, you know." But he's like, I don't really know him." So he pretty much denied having spent any time. There's flight logs that are from the 90s that said he flew on his plane numerous times. And so it's been denial. A little more gets let out. "Oh, I heard Epstein was a really bad guy. You know, I'm not sure. I know Jillian's really nice though." You know, like, and then like the quotes
Billions is
as it
dreaming.
gets, yeah, right, fucking. So, and the announcement of this war is right on the release of this New York Times article that was talking about the panic in the cabinet surrounding this Epstein thing. And it sounds like there was a particular incident that took place in the Situation Room, which is a very odd place to have this particular meeting in. I mean, a Situation Room is where you're planning for war and targets
Yeah,
and like,
I can tell you I can give you a definition of it right now. It's a really weird thing that this conversation happened in the situation room for Epstein. It kinda tells you I think it tells you a lot actually that they were talking about Epstein in the goddamn situation room, bro, because the situation room, it's a secure high-tech intelligence complex in the West Wing used to manage national crises, monitor global affairs, and conduct highly classified communications. Staffed 24/7 by military and intelligence experts, it enables the president and national security advisors to direct military operations and communicate securely with world leaders. Yeah,
yeah.
and they were talking
I
about Epstein in there. Okay. About what they were
So
gonna do, how they were gonna do it.
I'm gonna do a quick timeline, and then I'm gonna go into that particular meeting that was in the Situation Room. So we're going to go back to the beginning of Trump's cabinet. This was when Pam Bondi, the first DOJ, was in place. And she claims, "We have a client list sitting directly on my desk." That was February 21st, 2005. This is May 2025. DOJ officials brief President Trump, informing that his name appears extensively throughout the Epstein files, including within various unverified allegations. July 7th, 2025. Facing intense internal pressure, Trump's Justice Department abruptly issued a memo stating that no further Epstein investigation documents will be released to the public. And this is following that. In July, top White House officials convey an emergency meeting in the Situation Room. And this is the meeting I'm going to go into. This is July 2025 without Trump's knowledge. So this was a meeting behind Trump's back where all his cabinet members are like, "Oh fuck, this is getting bad." The meeting is called to mitigate the political crisis and find ways to steer the president around the worsening narrative. September and November 2025, public and political pressure mounts. External leaks, including 23,000 pages released from the Epstein estate, exposed emails suggesting Trump had deeper knowledge of Epstein's social network than he previously admitted. This is November 19th, 2025. To defuse the major bipartisan revolt, Congress overwhelmingly passes the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Trapped by intense political optics, Trump signs the bill put in frame to move as an effort to target political opponents. So that's how it was framed. December 19th, 2005, on the legal deadline imposed by Congress, the DOJ drops the internal wave of documents. The record reveals federal prosecutors had collected evidence proving Trump flew on Epstein's private jet multiple times in the 90s, directly contradicting his previous public denials. So he's getting caught lying to the public, and this is proving that.
Mm-hmm.
December 22nd, DOJ releases another massive batch of 30,000 pages of 30,000 pages. Observers quickly point out that the files are heavily redacted and the platform hosting them has briefly been taken down and uploaded with numerous pages entirely missing. January 30th, 2026, the DOJ releases what it calls its last major tranche of files. Independent analysis notes that out of the 15 terabytes of records, that only a minuscule fraction of real data has actually been made transparent.
Yep.
So that was what they said the last release. February 24th, 2026, an extensive investigation and published by NPR proves that the DOJ internally removed and withheld 53 pages of critical interview documents detailing victim allegations of sexual abuse against Trump. March 5th through the 6th, 2026. Caught withholding the records, the DOJ quietly publishes a portion of the missing pages. A newly sealed files include FBI notes from an anonymous accuser detailing alleged abuse by Trump when she was a minor in the 80s. The White House dismisses the allegations as completely baseless. And June 10th, a sweeping, and this is the thing I'm going to talk about that's referring to that meeting they had in a Situation Room. So June 10th is when this article came out about the panic that ensued in that Situation Room within the cabinet. So it sounds like there was Susie Weiss, Jeff Bongino, Pam Bondi, JD Vance, and these are the main ones who are talked about in this. So Trump wasn't there. This was called without him. Aides report that Trump wanted the entire Epstein issue concealed. He grew irritated whenever it was mentioned and actively avoided transparency, leaving his staff to navigate the crisis without him. So every time it was talked about, he would flip out. So these people are like, how do we do this without him interfering, telling them to shut up? So the Wall Street Journal bombshell prints out. So maybe I was wrong on a date. During July 17th meeting, the Wall Street Journal published an online report detailing a crude this was when the birthday card was released. And so he had that hand-drawing birthday card of a nude woman Trump had allegedly sent to Epstein. Because cell phones are forbidden in the Situation Room, staff members had to bring printed out copies of the article, while Chief of Staff issue Susie Wise was preparing a denial for Trump on Truth Social. So that meeting was brought in place. So how do we make this look like Trump, a denial that this was forged or whatever? And that was the whole thing, that it was a forged note. And there's been a few different analysis that don't think it is, and then there's been a couple on the other side that says it was forged. So settle there where you want to go. So the White House officials engage in a bizarre, surreal debate over an uncollaborated graphic allegation from 2024 court filings regarding Trump's treatment of a young woman's nipples. And I like to refer to this as Nipplegate.
Nipplegate.
If you look into this a little bit more, apparently, like this girl had her nipples, Trump was twisting them, and they were all bruised and swollen, and she showed them to her friend. So JD Vance,
God, have you
this
ever? I
was
mean, I know you've had a titty twister
yeah.
for sure at some time in your life. I mean, dude, I don't think I've ever had my nipples. I used to play fuck butt games, especially in the military and stuff all the time with dudes. We'd kick each other's asses all over the
Yeah.
place and like really get a hold of something like a nipple.
I've never actually had
And I don't think I've ever
I
had a big bruise in my nipple,
I
like
never actually had
twisted
a
up.
purple nurple
No.
is what I
Yeah,
yeah,
that's what it is.
yeah, that's
You gotta
exactly.
really, man, he must have really been fucking
Well,
anyway. Yep,
and
keep going.
regardless, it's probably some young woman between the ages of 15 and 19 who got thrown into this pool, a cesspool of rich men who get away with shit like that. So during that time, Vice President Vance argued the Department of Justice should publish the claim on the website for maximum transparency. I wonder why Vance would think that, being the incumbent president if Trump were to be impeached. And his reasoning, Trump wouldn't mind because he's been accused of worse. Susie Wise
Not
strictly
not a
shut
lie.
down. Yeah, it's true. Susie Wise strictly shut down the idea, noting the president would not be fine with it. So JD Vance, this is where it gets interesting. They wanted to go on a PR thing, and they were talking about using Tucker Carlson or Joe Rogan as like a vessel, because a lot of their base or former base are watching those guys now. And it was floated that Blanche, the current DOJ, was to go on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan denied him an interview. And then JD Vance said, like, I'll just go on myself, and then that fell through. And then this is another report about them using Tucker Carlson. So Vance drove the administration response to the crisis. Vance strongly advocated for a fast total release of all Epstein files, to be permanently harsher, to draw out congressional fallout. He also floated an unfiltered idea, a PR strategy, that to have conservative commentator Tucker Carlson interview Ghislaine Maxwell in prison, hoping she would clear Trump's name. Vance, preoccupied with the issue, led Susie Wells to privately tell colleagues that Vance has proven himself to be an Epstein conspiracy theorist. So this is like fallout of Vance leaning into like the Epstein stuff about Trump. There's also been a lot of reports that before going into this, JD Vance also has spoken horribly about Trump before when he was running against Trump. So
Yep.
JD Vance has a lot of motivation to say, like, yeah, release this shit. Let's fucking release it all, because he knows Trump would look bad. And the worst case scenario with Vance is Trump somehow says these allegations are false. Look at my, like what he says, or Trump gets impeached and he becomes president,
Yeah.
And I think that was a big thing. And this one's pretty funny too. So, these tensions, it sounds like there might have been a couple meetings in that situation room, and these tensions are starting to boil between the staff within this administration. You have the heads of all these different departments trying to figure out what the fuck to do, and they're all kind of having infighting within that administration because of the Epstein files. So former cabinet member Dan Bongino, tensions boiled over then Attorney General Pam Bondi, FBI Director Pash Patel, and Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino screamed profanities at Bondi during the meeting, accusing her of fumbling the situation and running a charade with the files. Bongino eventually stormed out of the situation room with Susie Wise, privately comparing the scandal to Trump's Iran-Contra before resigning in December. So if you read the article, it sounds like Bongino got really pissed off that Pam Bondi said in the very beginning of this that she had a client list. And because he said, since you said that, like this is out in public, and we're not either, they really don't have a client list that I find really hard to believe that within those, that 15 terabytes of files that you can't find, even if there's not a direct list that says, like, oh, this guy did bad shit, this guy did bad shit, this guy did bad shit,
Oh, they
you
do.
know?
Those names are just redacted.
Yeah, no, I
They
know.
do. They have them for sure. Yep.
And yeah, so it's just kind of crazy. And now because of this, there's been a bunch of like reports that there's feared audio of those leaks because there's some people within that cabinet, and there's been some speculation that Bongino is the one releasing this stuff, but I could
Mhm.
be wrong. It could, for all we know, it could be someone like there's a lot of people in his cabinet who are no longer there that would have reason to release this kind of information, but they're worried about someone had recordings of this because it sounds to be what happened. And this is from Axios, which, sometimes they have good reporting, sometimes they don't,
That
but
could.
it just,
Yeah. It's interesting because like I think about like the situation room almost like a skiff. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And a skiff is it's a sensitive compartmentalized information facility. That's what that means. But you can't go in there with a cell phone. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
they check you. And
yeah.
so I can't imagine the situation room, which had the definition that I gave earlier, which is basically a skiff for sure, that's manned by intelligence and military personnel 24/7, that they would have their I mean,
But don't you
I
think
guess
it's like
depends on
this
how high
buddy?
up you are, you might be able to just do it anyway, or
That's what I'm saying. Like if it was Cash Patel or Dan Bongino or any of those guys, like they're high up there, and it seems like it's a very buddy buddy, like
yeah,
pat
but
on
even
the
if
back.
you go to a skiff in a military skiff, it doesn't matter if you're a general. Like, it doesn't
Right.
matter if you're the Secretary of State, you know? Like, I've been in skiffs. It's
This is a
very.
dude who's also appointed like AI guys, like status in the military who served no military time. This is
Yep.
coming from a fucking psycho administration.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm also talking about standard operating procedure too, right?
Right.
Like,
Which I
I'm talking
don't
like
know
because when
much
I was
about.
in a skiff, dude, I mean, I remember when I was contracting and I was in Afghanistan, we had like Panetta showed up, Clinton showed up, like a lot of people. We had skiffs in there, and it was like there was no exceptions to the rule. You know what I mean? At all.
Right.
They didn't give a shit. It didn't matter who the hell you were. Like the rules were the rules. And but you're talking about. I mean, all the skiffs I've been in have pretty much been overseas and different bases, things like that. But like the situation room at the White, that's a completely different. I obviously have no
Yeah.
experience with that.
Right.
I just I just look at it like, how is it not a skiff? It's the same thing.
Right. You would think it'd be the same protocol.
But these
Well,
guys, I
I
mean, I
kind
wouldn't
of,
be surprised if they could just order them out and be like, "Hey, all of you 24/7 intelligence military personnel that are manning the skiff or the situation room, you're out. Go fucking go over there, and we're gonna talk about something you can't hear." And then they bring in their cell phones, and maybe somebody did read. I tell you what, I hope somebody recorded it. I really do. I hope somebody recorded it and it gets released. That'd be freaking great. You know?
yeah, I mean, we'll see. And like I said, all the timeline isn't speculation. Like those dates are real. Them taking things out, releasing stuff, like all that stuff real. The stuff this is an article written from a reporter who had sources, so you could do what you will with this information that I talked about what took place in the situation room.
Mhm.
It makes sense. And if that's really the case, and even if it's not the case, I would love to see like remember when who's the fucking Franco? They did that movie about North Korea.
Jo John, not John Frank. I know what you're talking about. It was that funny guy, the kind of the bigger funny guy, James Franco, something. Yeah,
J- Franco and the other dude did
yeah.
the movie about North Korea.
Uh huh.
I think it'd be really fucking funny to just get a bunch of really good comedians who are good at doing improv and put them in these, like, situations and, like, in
Get all
these
the Kill
meetings,
Tony
but
guys. Get all the Kill
yeah,
Tony
like,
guys and have them do a spoof.
get the meeting room, but, like, make it a fucking movie of, like, the first year of Trump's fucking 2nd term, dude.
Dude, you
And, like,
imagine how wild that would be?
it would be hilarious, dude. There's
Dude,
so many easy targets. You have Kash Patel, you have Bongino, you have Pete Hegseth. Like, there's so many fucking targets that you could hit just with their mannerisms of how they talk and the things they do that you could just riff on forever, let alone like all the news that's come out in the last fucking year about what's happening. It'd be fucking hilarious, man.
oh, yeah. You know who, God, who's that guy that does the greatest freaking Trump impression? I can even what the heck is it? He stars in the show Tires. He's on Kill Tony all the time. He's on Rogan a bunch. Shane Gillis. Shane Gillis.
Yeah,
Dude, if Shane Gillis played president,
dude.
I would give all my money, bro. That is not much. Be like, "Here you go." I would love to that would be the coolest movie ever, dude. Shane Gillis does the best Trump I've ever heard in my life. It's freaking outstanding, especially when he's, like, 25 Bud Lights in on the Kill
Yeah.
Tony stage. Dude, it's so great,
It
man.
would be it'd be some funny shit, dude.
Oh, it would be so worth it. You gotta crack on yourself, man. It'd be
Uh,
so worth it. It's funny. Like, the Epstein stuff, the pushback I get a lot from people on the right is, "Well, Trump, released it. He signed it. He released it. Like, why would he do that if he didn't if he was in it, if he did all this stuff, why would he do that?" And you're like, "Dude, what? They redacted everything. They
right,
redacted everything." And then they're saying that they're being transparent and they're adhere this is another thing, dude, when the Democrats come into power. They could go after this. Like,
right.
it's supposed to be released a certain kind of way in a certain kind of time, and they didn't do it. They redacted way more than they were supposed to. They didn't release everything they were supposed to via the order, via the law, and so it's like, no, there's no transparency in that, dude. There were literally
Right.
thousands and thousands and thousands of redacted pages where the entire paper was black. The entire
Yeah,
paper.
you couldn't see any of it.
And then they released names of victims because they were so quick to make sure that they redacted every single name of a perpetrator, that they left in victims' names. And you got Janine Maxwell, a female who's obviously still a demon, the only person who's serving time for a freaking international child sex rape scheme
Who
with the biggest
who got
oligarchs and
moved
kings and queens in the world.
who got interviewed by the current DOJ, who is Trump's lawyer, who he came out and said that because she spoke really good about the Clintons and Trump. That's real fucking convenient
Yeah,
that
of course she did.
the two
Of course,
biggest
she's
families
trying to
in the
get
political sphere.
trying to get
Yeah,
a
it's
pardon.
fucking and well, there was rumors that Blanche was pushing to pardon her
Yep.
with a dismissal for Trump, and that's the whole thing. And now Blanche is a DOJ, so nothing's going to move forward from here from that side. Like it's going to be a stalemate.
Uh, yeah. I'll tell you the interesting thing too with Vance and what we're hearing about with the stuff that happened in the Situation Room about him wanting to be a little bit more transparent. Did you hear him on The View? He was on The View, like, yesterday, and I didn't watch it, can't stand The View, but I definitely watched a lot of the highlights on it and stuff, but they were pressing him pretty hard on Epstein, and he he was continuing with those talking points. Trump turning him into the feds, he gave him information on him, and, like, why would somebody, give information on a guy to give him hooked if they were, if they were still homies and still doing stuff together and everything else. It's like all the stuff that he was talking about on the View wasn't anything about like I mean, he was guarding Trump from Epstein as hard as he possibly could. As
Right.
hard as he
Well,
possibly could in
I think
during the View. And
I
all
think
those
he
gals
has
pressed him
to.
pretty hard. And it's like, he wasn't gonna bring up the twisty nipple deal or like any
Yeah.
of that other
Yeah.
stuff. He was just basically just kept saying over and over again, Trump turned him in. He turned him in. So why would that if he turned him in, why would he do that? Blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And so that's yeah. I think JD Vance is cooked, bro. I think he's cooked. I think the
Yeah.
Republican Party's cooked for the foreseeable future. Just totally, totally cooked. They've fucked
Well,
themselves so bad.
and you can't have and you can't have the VP, like, turn on the president,
Yep.
like, within the party, like, that party would cannibalize itself more than it already has if that was the case,
Yeah.
like
If you're advanced, dude, like, okay, roll with Trump then, dude. Your career's over, bro. I think his
right.
political career is fucking over. You know what I mean? I don't know
Uh,
about over, but at least when it comes to the presidency, I can't imagine.
well, it's
I
like
can't imagine.
Camila getting pushed out behind Biden's turn, like, you're
Yep.
gonna attach yourself to that, like,
Yeah, I
same
don't
thing's
think
gonna
there's
happen
anything
to
for her in the
you.
future either. I don't think there's anything for Kamala Harris in the future. Like, she could run for president, go ahead. I don't
Yeah,
think anybody's taking her seriously either, bro.
no,
So, yeah, that stuff that there's gonna be a lot more to the story with Epstein, I think. I think especially after the midterms and, when the Democrats get into power, which I think they're gonna take everything personally. I don't think this whole Iran deal is gonna sit good with anybody. I don't think anybody's gonna be pumped about it. Like, gas prices aren't gonna be going down anytime soon. That's not how the economy works. This war could fire right back up again too. I mean, if
right,
Israel has anything to say about it, they're gonna absolutely try to drag us back into this shit. 150,000,000%, they're gonna try to drag us back into this shit on every
w
single occasion that they can. And so
well, and if Israel really has blackmail on us, this would be the time to use it. I'm
it
not saying
would.
they're going to, but this would be the time to,
There's lots
you
of
know
speculation that the whole thing with Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton was released by Israel.
Yeah, I've heard
And
that
then they
as well.
basically told them, "We got more on you, and we'll release more if you don't do A, B, and C." I forget what A, B, and C was, but it's like, yeah, he absolutely 110% did it. And
Yeah.
because they're like, "This is just a taste, homie. This is a taste. Like, you told us no, here you go with the Monica Lewinsky thing. Alright? The the overroom BJ." It's like, "But guess what?
Right,
We got way, way worse on you than that, buddy.
yeah,
Way, way worse on you than that." And so, he started really after that, if you investigate that, after the Monica Lewinsky incident and you investigate Bill Clinton with Israel, and you'll see a huge difference between how he
right,
handled the situation with Israel before Monica Lewinsky and after. Very, very, very different.
right,
Yeah. And the Democrats, I mean, listen, dude, like, I want transparency for the Epstein stuff. If it takes the Democrats taking over power completely and they're willing to blow this whole thing up and be transparent about it, like, fucking great. So be it. That's what I want. Like,
right,
I don't give a shit if it's a Democrat or Republican that puts it out. I want the truth and I want the people that are implemented in it to be fucking hunted. You know what I'm saying?
right.
That's what I want. Like, I don't give a shit. I thought the Republicans were going to do it. I thought Trump was going to do it. Obviously, I was fucking incorrect. But what we did find out through the Trump administration was that there was a lot of there. A lot of there. Like, that was the one really good thing that came out of this whole deal with the Trump thing with Epstein is that we know now for sure that there's there. Where before there was a lot more speculation. You know what I mean? And
Right.
with Trump kind of doing it the way that handling it the way that he did, he told on himself. Like, he totally made himself big time. And then on top of that, a whole bunch of other people as well when he talks about all of his friends and all of his buddies. And
Well,
so
and I think if one thing it what's happened with all the Epstein stuff, this Iran war, it opened up a lot of people's eyes to the ties to Israel and some of the things like that,
oh,
you
big
know?
time. Yeah.
And
Jeez.
and
Jeez. So much.
yeah, and
Public
I'm not
speculation has gotten with Israel, I mean, literally, like, we're seeing it in our lifetime. We're seeing a geopolitical change in our lifetime, which is
yeah,
it's like geopolitics is a very slow moving machine, man, like the Cold War, right? It took like 40 years for that motherfucker to roll over and be done and
right,
have all the different stuff that happens with it. Dude, Israel, we're seeing it within the last few years. I mean, before
right,
the October 7th deal, I mean, in the United States, polling with Israel, 75% plus easily, pretty much every age group almost. And now, dude, literally it's the only generation left that supports Israel is the boomers. And it's not even exclusive. It's like they're like 70%. They're not even fully on board, but every single other
right,
generation and like the totality of the American public, Israel's underwater big time. It's like a 60-70% issue now where people side with Palestinians over the state of Israel. And that's
right.
never happened before, ever. That's the first time in history and that swing took place in like dude, that swing took place like in the geopolitical blink of an eye. You know what I
Right.
mean? Crazy.
Well, and the sad fact is there's a bunch of not a bunch, there's a small percentage of Americans who make money during all these wars, whether it's Iraq, Afghanistan, there's a small percentage of people who make a bunch of fucking money
Oh,
every
yeah.
time this happens, and
Mhm.
it's at our expense, and we're piling up our fucking debt.
Yep.
Nothing, there's still fucking Iran just or Iran, fucking why can't I think of Russia and
Ukraine?
yeah, Ukraine just bombed the shit out of fucking Moscow,
Oh, yeah.
like,
Ukraine's
and
hitting
that and
Ukraine's hitting Russia deep into Russia. Deep,
yeah,
deep into Russia. Listen,
like, that's
it's the forgotten war. There's been, like, 400,000 Russians that have been killed in this war.
uh,
There's been, like, 200,000 Ukrainians killed in this war. It's a giant war, and
yeah,
we're clueless over here about how fucking horrible it is. Like, we lost 55,000 motherfuckers in Vietnam, and
yeah,
that still has a scar on us. You know what I mean? Vietnam is still a scar on the American flag. Like, you can still feel it and see it. You know what I mean? That was 55,000 Americans, dude.
yeah,
Right now with Russia and Ukraine, you're looking at, I mean, 600,000 dead,
yeah, uh,
700,000 dead. It's
crazy,
fucking crazy, dude. I mean, it's a massive war over there. And with Ukraine hitting Russia so deep into Russia now, there's a lot of people out there, a lot of geopolitical experts out there I've been reading and listening to that are worried about Russia engaging the nuclear option
right,
and basically being like, "That's enough." And they're
yeah,
just gonna be like, "Pop." And what happens? Does anybody retaliate from that? I mean, I don't know. I don't does the United States retaliate nuclearly? Does
right,
somebody else?
ano
I don't
another country, yeah,
I
someone in the
mean, what's
UN,
the circumstances involved with it? I mean, Trump was talking about blowing Iran off the face of the earth with a nuclear weapon multiple times. I mean,
yeah,
it seems like it's a lot more loosey goosey now with that than it used to be.
yeah,
You know, the further away we get from Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the development of nuclear technology, the outcomes that are associated with it, I feel like the further and further we get away from it, kind of like the further away you get from the revolutionary generation, the looser
right,
it gets, and then all of a sudden you have another revolutionary generation 500 years later, right? Because then it tightens back up again. And it's
right,
like we're in a dangerous pay for play situation right now with nuclear technology and weapon systems. And you have all these countries now that want to get nukes. You know, like
yeah,
and that's another thing about Iran. If I was Iran, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. We're making nuclear
yeah,
weapons. You
yeah,
know, like that's part of this deal because we don't mess with North Korea. Like right now, you got Poland wanting to get nuclear weapons. You have Germany talking about to getting nuclear weapons. How do you think Russia's going to respond if Germany gets nuclear weapons? The
yeah.
Germans, after their
Well, and
history with Germany, they have a very
the
Russia. For those of you out there, man, Russia's history with Germany and Germany's history with Russia is fucking deep, and it goes back
yeah,
further than the United States. I mean, it's deep, 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 deep stuff going on there, and I mean, if like, what if Germany is allowed to develop nuclear technology, you think Russia's gonna be cool with it? I don't know, man.
right.
We're in a weird it's loosey goosey out there, dude, and it's scary. People
No,
are just
it's
talking about it like they've never talked about it before, like it's an
yeah.
actual option.
I think we got a bunch of shitty fucking world leaders,
They all need to
and
get on
that's what
LSD and ayahuasca and
yeah,
psilocybin and go take a fucking journey, dude. Like, I
yeah,
think before
for
you can be
real,
a
dude.
global leader, I think before you can be a king, before you can be a president, you need to go do a hero hit for a week down in South America and Peru,
That's
and then
what
have some
the
goddamn humanity perspective.
G7 convention should be ran by a shaman, and they should all go fucking do a ayahuasca journey and
Yeah,
fucking
dude,
yeah,
100%, bro. 100%.
like,
I think it
it's
should be mandatory, dude. I've gotten to that point now. I truly, honestly believe it. You know, there'd be a hell of a lot less murderous motherfuckers out there in power. That's for damn
right,
sure.
well,
At the very least, there'd be less of that.
and I love being proud of your culture and where you're from and who you are and shit. Like whether it's Irish, Native American, like whatever. I'm all about that shit. But nationalism is a ugly thing, dude. And you could be proud of who you are and like where you came from, but like also if you're one of those big nations, also know you've destroyed thousands of cultures to fucking get there who still want to have a piece of their pride and nationality left, you know?
Dude, yeah, that's why Tanzanians no longer walk the face of the earth, was because
Right.
England killed
Yeah,
every single last Tanzanian
eradicated them.
human there was. You know what I mean? It's yeah, you get a lot of that stuff, and so yeah, dude. Hey, man, we're an hour and a half in, buddy. I think I'm feeling
Yeah,
good about this. I got a baseball
we
game
did
coming
it.
up here in about an hour. I got to get the boys ready for and everything. And
Yeah,
so, yeah,
tear it up.
I think we had some good conversation, dude, with the Epstein timeline. I like it. And then the Obama, this goddamn nuclear this deal with Iran, man.
No, this
I just can't believe, like, I can't get over how Trump talked shit for years and years and years and years about Obama and specifically that deal. And his deal is dude, it's at least
yeah,
twice as much money as Obama gave them. Probably actually think because it's really $100 billion, right? So Trump's really getting them 3 to 4 times that much money. 3 to 4 times that much money. It's not even their own money. It's not even their own money. With Obama, it was
well,
at least their own money.
let's see how much the people if this deal doesn't fall through in the next 3 weeks, because I
That's the thing
bet it
too, right?
will.
If we're not right back at
Let's
war bombing Iran in a month. Yep,
let's see how much money is exchanged between Trump's people within Trump's sphere and this war when it comes to the reconstruction of all this shit.
yep.
And that will be what's your baseball team's name?
It's gonna sound terrible.
I love it.
So where we're at right now with the kids, we had 22 kids that were like basically 11-year-olds that were playing. We had to split it into 2 teams. And so they called them the whites and the maroons. So white
Okay.
jerseys, maroon jerseys. We got the white jerseys. So we're the South Route Whites.
God, dude, man. Woo! That is pretty rough.
Dude, I know, right? It sounds terrible. You're like, well, okay. I guess that's I didn't even name it. Like it was just told
Just
to me that's what it was gonna be. The other team's the
just
maroons. And I was like, well,
that's not it. That's not as bad. I mean, just just go buy your team a bunch of pink hats so it kind of outbalances. They see the whites show up with a bunch of pink 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 hats. They'll be like, okay,
oh man,
maybe they're
luckily,
okay.
you know what's awesome is the kids don't give a shit. They don't
Yeah,
associate
I
that at
know.
all. Like, we have Hispanic kids on our team and stuff, like, they don't associate that at all. Like, they
Uh,
could care less about like, they're 10 and 11
I,
years old, 12 years old, like, they're just having a hell of a time playing baseball. Like, they're
for
they're
sure.
luckily, thank God, they're not even gonna make fun of that. Like, they don't it doesn't even register in their minds about how
Right.
silly that name is, you know? And so
That is funny shit.
but those that are
Funny
coaches,
shit.
we've talked about it a few times, yeah.
That's funny.
Alright,
All
brother.
right, brother.
I
Well,
love you,
let's
man.
go whites.
Yeah, baby, go Whites. We'll talk to you
All
later,
right.
dude.
Later, brother. Love you, man. Take it easy.